So sometimes it feels as if everything already exists, as if every product that the market needs is already out there, as if everything that can be built is already being built or already in the market, and there's no room for your product or idea, which is why it is extremely important for you to have 120% clarity on the pain point or the need that you're solving for. If you're bringing a product to market and you have no idea what problem you're solving, I wouldn't even be bringing that to market, because if you're just bringing something to market that is a nice to have, or that you don't even understand who needs this, why they need this, you're probably not going to have the results or the response that you are expecting. So, as I was saying, you need a lot of clarity in what is the problem that you're trying to solve. So, this first week was about clarifying that problem. Is that problem clear to me? Let's pretend I am the ICP. As the potential ICP, do I know what the problem is? Do I understand the problem? Do I know why this solution would solve this problem differently or better? Number one thing you need is to clarify if this problem exists. And how you can do this is the easiest way to understand if your problem or the thing that you're imagining as a problem exists is to ask. And you are not going to ask your mom, do you think this is a good idea? Because she's obviously going to say, yes, you're very smart. That's a great idea. And that's not what you want. What you want is people who are going to be honest with you and who are going to tell you, yes, that's a great idea. Or, you know what, that's not really a good idea at all. And that problem doesn't even exist. And the people who are going to tell you that are your potential customers. So go ask your target market, go ask your potential customers, what do you think about this product? What do you think about this idea? Would you pay for this or not? Because if they would pay for that, then it means there is a pain point there. If they're not willing to pay for it, then there may be a pain point to a certain extent, but it's not that big of a pain. The pain point may be a small pain point, and because it is not that big, there's no willingness to pay. So you want to understand, does this problem actually exist? Yes or no? So number one is there actually a problem here? And second thing is there willingness to pay? And I've seen so many people who just go on to build or to create something because they assume that the pain point exists and they assume that there is willingness to pay. And I've done this myself. I've done this thing where I assume that the pain point exists, I assume that there is willingness to pay, and as soon as you get to market, you realize there's no pain point and there's no willingness to pay. So what I did this first week was try and validate if this pain point exists or not, because I don't want to be running on assumptions. And then how I am going to keep validating if this pain point exists is I'm going to run some interviews and ask people if they have had this issue before, if they have experienced this pain before, what solutions have they used, what products have they bought, what they think about those, do they like them, do they not like them, what is the price point for them that's a good combination of value and the right pricing strategy, the right positioning, what is the messaging that resonates with them, and all of those things. But you really have to ask your target market. You don't want to ask your friends who are just going to say, yes, that sounds like a good idea. Because then if you ask your friends and then you go to market, you'll realize that there's a gap between what your friends and family told you versus what the market tells you. Because the market is not going to think twice. They will be honest with you, and that's what you want. So another thing that I was thinking about this week is, how big is the market for this? I have this issue. I know that I have bought solutions for this. So I have this pain point. I have the willingness to pay, all of this pretending that I would be the ICP. But who else has this issue? Is there a big enough market for this? So I also started doing some research in terms of TAM, SAM, and SUM, just because I want to understand how big is the market for this? Is it only me who has this issue, or are there other people out there who also have this issue and who will also have the willingness to pay? Now, for this product, I'm thinking about a direct to consumer strategy. I'm thinking about something that's in the CPG category. So because of those reasons, I understand that Instagram is a non-negotiable channel. I don't like Instagram, but you really need to understand what your product is, what product category your product is in, and who your market is. And I know that this market, this product, it all makes sense on Instagram. So you really have to understand, is this product a B2B or a B2C? And based on that, and also based on your target market, what is the best channel for this? So all of those things are part of what I have been thinking of in this first week. Now, something else that's very important that I've been thinking about is packaging, messaging, go to market, and how can I take this idea from my head into something that's visually understandable, something that I can share with someone else and simply say, this is what I want to build, this is what I want to create. And just like that, they understand what the product is, what the target is, what the idea is, what the vision is. So you have to try and create something that you can use to communicate your idea very quickly, very easily, not a high cost thing, like the simplest MVP possible, just to start testing and getting feedback and the opinion of others. So for all of that, I used multiple AI tools. I obviously used ChatGPT, I used Claude, I used Gemini or whatever. I used Nano Banana, and I used another image generation tool. And I think that was all for AI, but I spent a lot of time with these image generation tools just because I wanted to create a mock-up that would represent what I'm thinking of in my head, like how I am imagining this product. We talked about number one, asking. Number two would be research. All of the things that I mentioned are relevant to research, but how I do research is I look at other products that are in the market, how was their go-to-market strategy, and also products that were in the market and that are no longer in the market, because I want to understand what happened. Why are these products no longer in the market? So if you can do that, if you can do these things that I mentioned, do some research, try and take your idea from your head into something visual, into something that you can share with others, try and understand how big is the market for this. If you can do this product discovery and product validation, you're already ahead of a lot of other people who are only running on assumptions. You do not want to be running on assumptions. I've done this before, and you end up spending a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of energy and a lot of ideas on something that doesn't even exist. The problem doesn't exist, the market doesn't exist, the willingness to pay is not there. So you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste your energy. That's why product discovery and product validation are so important. Number one, I try to clarify what the idea is. What is this product? Like, can I describe this product in one sentence? Yes or no? Okay, yes, we did that. Then can I have something that visually represents this product? If we're talking about a SaaS, that's pretty easy. You can do a quick screen, an MVP, a prototype, whatever, in any of these vibe coding tools. That's done easily. If it's a CPG product like the one I am thinking about, I used AI tools. An image generation tool can mock up the product that I'm thinking about pretty quickly. Then you want to do some research on market size, on where these product category is going. Is it growing? Do people want to pay for this? Do people want to buy this? What does the current market share for the existing companies and products look like? You want to do all of that research. You don't want to assume everything and then spend weeks, spend hours on your idea, and then one day you realize this product already exists and someone has already done what I was thinking about, and they have done it better and they have done it with more resources, and I'm not going to be able to compete. You want to do your research and you know what? If you find a product that already exists and that does what you were thinking about, that's fine. You're learning. Take that as a lesson. Don't take that as, now I'm going to do nothing because everything already exists. Don't do that. And then what else did we do? We did research, we did the visual thing, we did understanding the market. I started doing some research also on who am I going to talk to? Who are going to be those first potential customers that I'm going to be able to interview and ask questions about the problem, ask questions about what they have bought before, what solutions that they have they chosen before, why they choose them or why they don't like them. And also I went on Instagram, did some research there. Don't like Instagram, don't ever want to go back to Instagram. So I hope that later on someone can do the Instagram research and then just give me the insights, maybe Claude or I don't know who, but I don't ever want to go back to Instagram. Don't like it. And then something else that I did was start doing some research on how are we actually going to build this. Let's say that all our tests indicate that there is a market for this, there is a problem, there is a willingness to pay, there is a gap in the market and all of that. How are we going to actually build this? Is there a provider that I need to talk to? And is there a specialist that I need to talk to? Like, what are those people, places, companies that I would need to engage with to learn and to understand how to actually build this product? And that's basically what I did this week. I will be sharing this because these are just the things that are top of my head right now, but I actually wrote all of these things down. So maybe I'll share this on Substack or LinkedIn or I don't know, probably Substack or LinkedIn and this video as well. And that's it. See you next week.